that we are doing for green hydrogen ecosystem in India. Part of it is for electrolyzer, part of it is for green hydrogen production. But apart from that, we feel that just by giving an incentive, it will not be able to improve the green hydrogen or develop the green hydrogen ecosystem in the country. So therefore, it's a very kind of it's a mission. It has several components, and we feel that these components are as important as an incentive, which could be a vanilla incentive. So we have pilot projects because we know that while refineries and fertilizers would be the first to kind of use green hydrogen or its derivatives, there are other sectors that we need to target and hard to abate sector. That's where we're talking about some of the other sectors of the economy. So we have pilot projects. We have uh, hydrogen hubs which have to be set up where the production and the consumption is going to be together, and that's the important component. We have a R&D budget, and as as you're well aware, if you're aware, you are already involved in green hydrogen in some way or the other. You know that the cost of green hydrogen is the key if we want to expand its production and utilization. Therefore, R&D is going to be very important as we go ahead, and not only in production, lowering the cost of production, but also in storage, also in transportation, also in its utilization. So we need R&D across all these aspects. And of course, skill development is going to be a huge thing for us because it's a new field, and all our existing workforce who are involved either in renewable energy or in hydrogen in some way or in these sectors will need to be reskilled. Current this is the latest estimate that we have of of hydrogen utilization in India or demand in India. We estimate that's about 6.7 million metric ton per annum, where majority of it is it of course here is ammonia or ethanol or whichever. Ammonia is largely for fertilizer, and therefore fertilizer sector and refining sectors are the two big sectors. And that's why we have both as important components of our mission. And we expect this demand to grow about 12 million metric tons by 2030 and by about 29-30 million metric tons by 2050. Hydrogen. And that is why if that's the overall hydrogen demand. And of course, our aim is to replace the hydrogen with green hydrogen in the country. Under the site program, I had mentioned, and this has been mentioned earlier, we had outlay of about 4,440 crores, which has been fully allocated to 8 companies in tranche 1, 11 companies tranche 2, and overall, some of them have got, uh, some people got here also. So we have about 15, 18 companies who have got the uh, incentive allocation. In green hydrogen, we are looking at 3 aspects. One was our pure green hydrogen incentive. If you set up production, we don't know what you do with it. You can export, you can consume in India. Go ahead and do it. There we allocated 4.1 lakh ton, 12,000 tons, 10 companies. We have the second tender we have issued for 450,000 per annum, tons per annum, which is currently in process, and we hope to close that in the next month and a half. But then we decided that we should try to encourage the Honorable Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas mentioned about refining. And what we have done is we've dovetailed our incentive so that production, the demand for in India itself, domestic utilization can grow. And we've come out with two schemes, two modes. One is for green ammonia for fertilizers. Again, we are doing an aggregation mode. And in fact, 739,000 tons per annum of our bid for green ammonia aggregation across different fertilizer companies is also currently live, and we hope to close that in the month coming up. And this is the largest tender for green ammonia in the world as of now. You may get bigger ones, but till now, this is the biggest tender for green ammonia aggregation. And of course, for the refineries, we've come out with the bidding that the Honorable Minister was talking about by refiners. We have dovetailed our incentive in that. And of course, the refineries are looking at the lowest cost of green hydrogen supply. It's just a timeline of what we have been doing. Uh, so last year, of course, we did. Last year, when we had the conference in July 23. If you see in the timeline, we and a lot of progress has been made from July 23 onwards. Uh, we've we have finalized the green hydrogen standard for India, site schemes, the scheme guidelines for the pilot projects in shipping, steel, transport, several scheme guidelines for R&D, hydrogen hubs, skill development, and of course for testing facilities and so on. So a lot of progress is being made, and now of course we've just issued a draft green hydrogen certification scheme. Although 2 kilogram has been outlined as the threshold for green hydrogen evaluation, we've come out with a draft certification scheme and will be finalized then shortly, based on which the green hydrogen that anyone makes will be then certified as green hydrogen. This is the standard I already mentioned. Either it can be electrolysis or it can be conversion of biomass. And we've set a threshold of 2 kilogram CO2 emissions. That's maximum can be per kilogram of hydrogen. And we know this is, and I think what we understand is this is among the best standards for green hydrogen in the world. If you compare this across different countries, different regions, you'll see this compares with among the best in the world. And I think we wanted to do that as well. We we have we have a the governance structure is very uh, you know is wide and diverse. We have, of course, the empowered group, which gives the overall guidance. We have an advisory group. The empowered group is headed by the cabinet secretary. It has secretaries of all ministries who are concerned with the mission, different components of the mission. Everybody is there. We have two industry members. We have advisory group headed by the principal scientific advisor, who advises us on all science and technology matters, on all the R&D itself. The mission director, we have a mission director now, and we have a mission secretariat housed in MNRE, which does all the coordination and running around. And everybody has their own roles and responsibilities. In regulation codes and standard, we have already, I had mentioned it in the last uh, conference, and since then, much more progress has been made. We have a working group under me, which has several subgroups on different aspects: hydrogen production and use, storage and transportation, hydrogen fueled mobility application. And in fact, now we are making two more subgroups: aviation subgroup and the shipping sub. And both are going to start working on this. On the other three subgroups, we have agencies, all regulatory agencies, who deal with standards as part of the group. And we've already recommended 152 standards. Looking at all the global standard, looking at our needs, we've recommended 150 standards. 81 have already been notified. And that's the kind of progress I wanted to outline. It's not a question of only recommending. The government is already doing what it's what it's uh, what it want what has been preaching. And that's we do that. Working group does it, and then each regulatory agency goes through the entire process and completes the task. And in fact, 81 have already been published. Many more are already in the process now of being notified. In the transport sector, the pilot scheme I just want to highlight is essentially for long haul transport. Cars and SUVs, I think in a short haul, we feel that we did not want to focus on that because the electric vehicles probably is going to become better, and therefore we really cannot break uh, that kind of a market, and we don't need. But for long haul trucks and buses, I think it's important to start the pilots in India, and therefore we want that to happen. In fact, when you go through the exhibition, you will be able to see a truck running on green hydrogen and a bus running on green hydrogen, and that's the kind of thing we want to do. And again, it could be fuel cell based, it could be IC based, whichever way. So we want to do that. And here we already issued the RFP, and we've now about to close the bidding by awarding the contract. The shipping sector, our intention is that we need to retrofit two vessels of Shipping Corporation of India. And these are large ocean-going like vessels. These are not the inland ones, which of course work is already going on parallelly without the support of this part of the mission. But for the ocean-going vessels, we wanted to convert two of them retrofit, and that's what the work is. And the e-tender has already been issued, and we are now working towards finalizing this tender at the earliest. And we have a budget of about 150 crores, or 115 crores actually for this. For the steel sector, we now steel sector is one big sector. We knew that we know that we want to do it, but we also know that the technology is not really there. We need to develop technology to make it happen in the steel sector. It's, as you know, steel is a very big industry in India. We need to decarbonize that. The steel industry also acknowledges we need to decarbonize. But of course, right now we are at that threshold where we want to hone the technology, develop and hone the technology before it can be used on a mass scale. And therefore, this pilot project is going to be important for the shipping sector. Again, we have issued the RFP, and what we want to do is, of course, use the hydrogen in the DRI process through the vertical shaft plane. We also want to use it in the blast furnace. Initially, I recall, if you recall, last year when I had mentioned when we are formulating the mission, at that time we had assumed that the initial assumption was that it would first start in the DRI process and then later then move on to the blast furnace. And but looking at the interest of the industry, we've allowed both things to happen. And in fact, we have a lot of interest in both technologies. Uh, in the R&D scheme, as I've already mentioned, we have three component mission mode projects, grand challenge projects, and blue sky projects, different types of projects. And we had done a roadmap. We have come out with a roadmap last October. We've received 400 proposals, 400 plus proposals, and we are now evaluating those. We hope to uh, award, start awarding them by the end of this month. Hydrogen hubs is very important. We are under the mission. We will be supporting at least two hydrogen hubs in India for infrastructure development, and we issued the call of a proposal last month. Uh, Now we also have this. We have also allowed under our scheme to, because we will be supporting only two. That's the kind of budget we have. But we are willing to support other recognized hub as a hydrogen hub as for the purpose of the mission, and that's what we are trying to work with the industry on doing that as well. Under the skill development scheme, I think we are a very important component, and a huge progress has been made. We've, different ways, all the detailing has been done by the Ministry of Skill and Development and on Skill and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and huge documents have been prepared. The curriculum has been finalized, and we are in the process of rolling it out. Testing infrastructure is going to be a very important aspect as well, because we want, these facilities are not yet available in India, and therefore we want to develop new testing centers and upgrade in existing infrastructure in India as well. And again, we have issued that call for proposals. This something again I want to highlight it. I mentioned it in my opening remarks. Welcome in the inaugural session. It's a whole of government approach. And again, I'm mentioning only a few ministries. If you look at everything which is going to be we're going to do, and wherever green hydrogen is going to interact, it will be much more than this. So MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, a lot of work has, because we are the coordinating ministry, we therefore drive mission. The Ministry of Power is an important ministry because transmission of power is very important. Banking of power is important for green hydrogen production. Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways for the shipping sector. Again, they've parallelly also identified Kandla, Paradeep, and Tuticorin for development as green hydrogen hubs. Ministry of Commerce is important to us because we want to lower the cost of hydrogen production in India, and therefore special economic zones are important while we do that. And they've allowed duty benefits for captive power plants, SEZ, and we are also trying to do that for the export oriented units and the EPC under the EPC scheme as well. PPIT has been runs the National Single Window portal, and there we there's one portal where the industry can just apply through our to the pay for the page on the National Green Hydrogen Mission, and you can apply and expedite all the approvals at one point. And many states are getting onboarded with this single window as well. Ministry of Environment is important for the environment clearance, and they've already helped us do it. Some more requests have been received, and we're working with them to do it. Apart from this, of course, let me also mention other ministries: Department of Fertilizer, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, DSIR, this is the Department of Science and Technology. I mean, there's and many others. For sure, for due to availability of time, I will not mention that. But we have a large part of the government involved in this, and that's from the central government side, and we really cannot do it on our own. Central government of India can only set the policy framework. I think it's the action happens on the ground. The production plants, the manufacturing plants will come only up in the states, and therefore the role of our state governments is very crucial. And they are equal partners in this process that we have started. And you see this outlines what all progress has been made since the launch of the mission. We have 5 states who come out with specific green hydrogen policy: Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, West Bengal, and Andhra Pradesh. 5 states have come out with their draft policies, and these we are likely to get finalized very shortly. Assam, Bihar, Punjab, Haryana, and Gujarat. And then there are some other policies. They have renewable energy policy or industrial policy. So many states are kind of using. They have created a component of green hydrogen uh, incentive or support in those policies as well. This is Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, and Himachal Pradesh. And of course, there are many other states who are supporting the green hydrogen production in many other ways. Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. So if you see the map, a lot of states are now getting into it. And the others are also, it's not that the others are not doing at all. Others are also looking at whatever existing policies they have, their framework is there of supporting industries come up, and that's how they're doing. And we hope to, in fact, to show you, uh, you know, more progress in a few months from now. Export was mentioned as one of our primary objectives of the national agriculture. And for this, apart from, of course, the industry going out and seeking, agreements with potential buyers, procurers, government, it's also important for the government to see what we can do on a government to government level. And for this, one of the methodologies that we thought, which is important, going to be important, is if we can have the provision under Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement, which allows cooperative approaches for bilateral agreements between two countries. And there we are looking at how we can use or support green hydrogen or what is derivative projects in India in some way, and therefore use the carbon credits and share that in some way with that other country. That's the kind of thing we are looking at, and it's important and we are pursuing it with 10 countries and hope to finalize these one or two very shortly. Kind of projects which have been announced, and this again is important. Must have a look. About 7.6 million, around 7 in fact, if you round it out. These are now projects announced by the corporate sector, not by the government. It's not the government has told them to announce. These are the actual projects announced by the corporate sector, different agencies, and of course, it also mentioned the states where we asked them, where are you? Either they've announced the state that they want to have this set up the project, or we ask them, okay, which are the states that you're looking at? And if you see Gujarat, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, 3 big states are the most likely the first where the projects are going to come up. And of course, you have Karnataka, Himachal Pradesh, to small extent Tamil Nadu, and then Rajasthan. But of course, Rajasthan is going to be a hot favorite. Rajasthan and Gujarat for the renewable energy part. I mean, I'm only talking about the manufacturing production facility or the only from that aspect. 17 companies have announced projects. These are public announcements. They are not private exchange of notes with us. No. In electrolyzer manufacturing, also a lot has happened. 24 projects have been announced. Uh, OMIM already has a 2,000 megawatt operational. John Cockerill is constructing a 1 gigawatt plant, and so on and so forth. Many other projects are coming up. And 15 entities have been overall granted incentive under a electrolyzer scheme. And when we ask those companies what are the capacities that they are looking at, we've announced we've given them about 300, no, 3 gigawatt worth of capacity. But when we compare when we took note from them and said how much of capacity are you actually planning? This is what we'll support. But actually, it will run into more than uh, 10 to 10 to 15 gigawatt of capacity each of them. So not total. So in short, our 3,000 megawatt of support is actually leading to a manufacturing capacity of about 15 to 20 gigawatt. And that is what is important to look at. And these electrolyzers, when they start getting manufactured, will be utilized both by Indian companies and, of course, can also be exported. Our competitive advantage, and again, we feel that this is something which we are very proud of. We have the lowest cost of RE in the world. We have one nation, one national grid, and that's a very fully integrated grid we have, which can transfer about 115,000 megawatt of power throughout the country. We have skilled manpower, and we have a huge coastline which is developed with many ports, and I think we have the ability to compete with the rest of the world in green hydrogen production and export. These are some of the outreach activities we've conducted. We have celebrated the World Hydrogen Day last year. We did the IPA. We hosted the IPHE Steering Committee meeting earlier this year. We have done a workshop on quality control. We participated very actively in the World Hydrogen Summit in Rotterdam in May, and in fact, I think our participation and a big pavilion and the way we where we described what we've done, I think it kind of uh, allowed the world to see how we are developing the green hydrogen ecosystem. We have recently done a national workshop, and we keep interacting with the states anyway. I think this is what I wanted to say about the what all has happened in India, and we'll be happy to take questions if you have time and answer any queries that you have. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay. Uh, no, I'll invite questions, comments for Bhupinder Bhalla. Yes, can you introduce yourself also?
Get a mic for him. You have mic for someone?
Is there
Is there a mic to take along? Can it be for people to ask questions?
maybe this you can go there?
हाँ,
I'm not orange. आप उनको दे
उधर
हॉल में ओके क्या नाम हाँ या प्लीज आस्क योर कैन
So that's for everybody to hear. I mean, I could hear the question, but I want everybody.
Dr. Chakradhar, Dimex Screen, um, my question for you, sir, is have you learned how to illuminate our blind spots? I've been watching very closely. I'm invited for the MNRE workshop in May 8th as well. I'm not seeing that progress forward momentum. And as for all the projects being announced, the project management schedules are not there. So we will not meet our goals if those project management schedules are not there. And I have many of my esteemed colleagues from L&T and other places. Schedule is the primary thing that drives us. Okay. So just a comment on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of blind spots you are mentioning, but we are, I mean, as far as overall mission is concerned, you see that we are trying to work on all the components. As far as individual projects are concerned, what we do is we engage with the industry and find out what is there, what are the kind of handholding we can do. But essentially, it is for the companies to do that detailing on how they're going to take the project forward. Because we are there to assist as and when we have a role to play. But a lot of work, and especially even I mentioned, and a lot of role is there of states in this process. So what we are trying to do is, talk to the states and see how we can help a particular project.
So blind spots usually are failure modes. When you try something, you fail. Then you learn. For example, the first transatlantic transport, the Boeing was put together in 3 months and flown. And this is not the complexity of a Boeing 737 or something like
Yeah,
that.
no,
We
no.
have to fail. We have to make the failures public.
So once we let's when we started moving on it, we will be so whatever is happening. See how whatever we are doing is a process of learning. We are also learning in that process, and therefore, when we understand that there is some difficulty, arising, we are trying to change the policies and trying to, change the framework in which it is being done. We haven't yet. I don't know whether you wanted us to have five, or just for discussion sake, a few projects meant as blind spot and trying to see whether they fail. No, we are not doing that. I mean, the intention has been to make a framework, make a policy framework, make sure you address all the aspects that we think are important, and then we are here. We are engaging with industry, and we will be very happy to see
Let's go to
and
the
help
next.
and help and help them in this process. I
We'll
think
go to the next question. We'll take two more. Yeah. Can somebody get the mic?
Hi, sir.
Good morning.
Can I ask a question?
No, just 1 second. So, good morning, sir. I'm Dr. Bhaunari Mallikarjun from Manipal Academy of Higher Education.
where
I'm here. On your right hand side, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Good morning, sir. It's a great
Sorry
interaction.
about that.
I think, yeah,
No, because we were requesting him to speak, and that's the issue.
yeah. Can you just please wait?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. By the way, Mr. Bhalla, you are extremely
Please keep it close. No, keep the yeah.
Yeah, I want to congratulate you first because you are so well clad, all green. Your sweet suit is green. Everything is green and green hydrogen today. Just
Green
amazing.
hydrogen. What can I do? I mean, I had no option.
You're dressed for the occasion. Anyway, I am from Saskatchewan, Canada, and I've come here on a biomass-based ethanol to hydrogen, and we have been given an opportunity in the state of Kerala, and we are working on HVIC there. One of the questions that you alluded to, Ajay, is on the fact that biomass is a big challenge. And you did that when you were speaking. And what I find is what is the coordinated effort here with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Forestry, etc., to grow more biomass? Because unless you have another 20 or 30 world scale ethanol plants, you can't even meet your blending requirements right now. I just want to know who and how it's going to happen. And
Yeah,
what
I
they're
think I can give a
He's the right
5 second.
person to answer.
So,
fast
so
fast
the
focus on
effort
it.
we have put together a program where we are assessing what is the so-called, uncultivable land where this biomass can be grown of various types. Some evaluation is going on with various ministries, and how do we access those lands and so on. And effort is on right now under this mission. And I hope in next few months we should lay out what those things are.
In a project with DST that we have been approved of, we are putting a certain amount of money and identified 7 energy crops
Yeah.
right out there in 2 universities. And these are good crops, but can do immense favor to the ethanol production. I would come, and I used to work with
Sure.
Dr. Chidambaram before.
Yeah.
RC knows
We
me,
will
and so
discuss it offline.
absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I take the question?
I think we
Sorry.
had one speaker who was
Uh,
already.
Sorry.
We must
Let
take him.
me, I
Yeah.
think we are this one and then this. We'll see that. Yeah.
And everybody can happy to meet everybody outside and talk to you.
Because we are running
Yeah.
late. and we have the next.
We have
Yeah,
our eminent speaker next who's waiting, so we must.
yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Dr. Bonari Mallikarjun from Manipal Academy of Higher Education. I've done my PhD from National Central University, Taiwan, exclusively on
please ask
your
alkaline
question.
electrolyzers.
Ask
My
your-
question is, like right now, sir, I have a couple of questions, sir. Like
One question.
one of my question is like, in your presentation, you have mentioned like our some of the companies in India has was ready to develop the new technology for India in terms of electrolysis, but they have outsourced it to Western companies like UK, US, and European Union companies for developing a technology for India. And another thing, sir,
What is the,
offshore
sorry,
You have a
I'm
concern.
really
You're
running
talking
out
about a
of time.
concern about.
What is your precise question? If you can't have, then we'll have discussion outside.
Sir. Sir, also offshore wind farms was mentioned, but offshore wind farm at the bottom of the windmill, there should be an electrolyzer which directly converts seawater to hydrogen. Such
Okay.
technologies I mean, including such technologies in the timeline
Sure.
will help
We-
India to become a
Absolutely.
self-reliable exclusively with indigenous
We
technologies.
can do
Okay.
it. I mean, but my off the cuff thing is good if we can make it there and export from there. Transportation
Yeah.
is not going to be.
I think we are really running very late.
Just a quick question.
Thank
Sir,
you.
last question.
Sir,
Sir,
just
one.
I think we had one gentleman who was
Very
already
quick
there.
if you allow.
I think may I request you? I really appreciate
Just a
the
half a second
enthusiasm
question, if you allow.
in this
My
session.
question is on blue hydrogen, actually,
No,
not green.
we will ask about this later.
If
Please sit down.
you don't mind, we
Yes,
have
sir.
a gentleman who's
We'll
already
do it
waiting.
after that.
I think
At
we should have
lunchtime.
courtesy
Excuse me,
from that
At
point.
lunchtime,
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
I'm assuring on his behalf that you should be surrounding him.
Sir, may I ask my question now?
Hi, sir.
Yes.
Last
Yeah.
question.
Thank you very
So,
much, sir.
excuse me.
Okay, so I'll
My
keep it
name is
Please.
sorry.
I keep it extremely small. So I'm CEO of Shakti Photon Solution from IIT Madras Research Park. My only comment, not a question, with this timeline. So our R&D budget is only $50 million, which is a 400 crore. Can you please increase that to a little bit
Yes.
more?
I
It
will
will be
request the
done.
government.
That's all. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Excuse-
And I think
Excuse me,
we are. I'm so sorry. We are really running out of time. I appreciate the enthusiasm. I please do catch Bhupinder Bhalla at lunchtime, because the second plenary speaker is already waiting for a while. So may I now close this session and invite the next person to chair this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, as we close the session, our heartfelt thanks to our chair and to our eminent speaker. I request Shri Ajay Yadav, the Joint Secretary, MNRE, to kindly present this special token of our gratitude, appreciation, memento. Thanking the Honorable Chair of the session, Professor Ajay Sood, and to our respected Secretary, MNRE, Shri Bhupinder Bhalla, both of them, in fact, the Speaker and the Chair. And we hope that this detailed and very comprehensive analysis of our green hydrogen mission has given you greater insights into it, and it's going to be further inspiring the global green energy transition. So we now going to be moving into the next session. That's the bringing in the USA perspective. As mentioned, USA also stands as a country partner towards this conference. We invite their perspective moving forward. This is a conference where we are aiming at learning from each other. And I invite the Honorable Chair of the session, Shri T.K. Ramachandran, Secretary, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India. In fact, one of the key drivers which we have discussed also, one of the key drivers towards the success of our green hydrogen mission is going to be the infrastructure, investment in infrastructure, from production facilities to distribution networks. Comprehensive infrastructure is going to be key towards unlocking the potential of green hydrogen. And that is where we are thankful to the chair of the session, Shri T.K. Ramachandran, Secretary, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Government of India, who joins us as the chair of this session. So invite our the session, TDT K. Ramachandran, respected Secretary, Ministry of Ports. May I request you, sir, to please grace the desk. Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, his larger areas of interest include development, economics, transportation, infrastructure, renewable energy, and public-private partnership. I invite the distinguished speakers of the session, Dr. Sunita Satyapal, Director, U.S. Department of Energy, Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Technologies Office, USA, and Ms. Rita Jo Lewis, the Chair of the Exim Bank, USA. So welcome to our honorable chair of the session and to our two distinguished speakers as we invite the USA perspective. And I request our honorable chair for his opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I hope we are ready to start. Request everyone to settle down. So it's my pleasure to be part of the second plenary session, which gives us the US perspective on green hydrogen and the green hydrogen economy. We have with us Dr. Sunita Satyapal, who's the director of the US Department of Energy's Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Technologies Office, USA. We also have with us Ms. Rita Jo Lewis, President and Chair of the Board of Directors, Export-Import Bank of the United States. I would say a very apt combination, like we say in India, the combination of Lakshmi and Saraswati, one with the knowledge and one with the cash. So very apt kind of a panel we have this morning to talk to us about what is happening in the US. Just like to give a few opening remarks. The first is that, as you're all aware, India has done a lot of work in green hydrogen, and we have a green hydrogen mission in place. And similarly, I find the US has a lot of things in place. There is a national green hydrogen strategy. There is an Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. We have a target of about 5 million tons per annum by the year 2030, and the US has a target of 10 million, appropriately double. Maybe should have been much more. And we have committed about $2.5 billion as part of the mission. And I understand the Jobs Act has put in place about $8 billion over the next few years to be spent on green hydrogen. So today's discussion, I would like to open up by saying that in India, the green hydrogen mission talks about funding electrolyzers. It talks about production. It talks both about the demand and the supply side. creation of demand in shipping, in steel making, in refineries, in fertilizers, and of course transportation in general. And on the supply side, of course, we are looking at electrolyzers being the production of electrolyzers being subsidized, production of hydrogen itself being subsidized, and so on. And then there is an R&D component, of course, which is very important from the point of view of the US as well. And Dr. Satyapal, I'm sure, will shed light on that. And then there is the financing part, which means apart from the subsidies that the government gives, there's a lot of money that needs to be raised in the markets. And luckily for us, the kind of interventions that have already been put in place, like I said, on the demand and the supply side, along with technology, R&D. I was just talking to the additional secretary a couple of minutes back, and he was saying for R&D, they've received something like 400 applications. And last year, we had 3,000 people registering for this event, and now it's 7,000, which means we have a growth of 100% in 1 year, which is remarkable. And therefore, I think the hydrogen economy, and especially the green hydrogen economy, and I said this last year also in this forum, that in India, it's only green that we talk about. We don't talk about the other colors in the spectrum. We don't talk of brown or black or gray or pink or whatever else. We only talk of green. And that is because we have ample sun, ample wind, ample land, and ample water, and ample people. So nothing lacking really. So all these things are the only inputs that you require to put this green hydrogen ecosystem in place. 3 hydrogen hubs have been identified in Tuticorin, Paradeep, and Kandla, where the bunkering, the storage, transmission, and production of hydrogen are being looked at. Apart from this, a couple of ships are being converted into green methanol ships. And a whole lot of other things have happened in India over the last 1 year under the Green Hydrogen Mission. So I would now request both Dr. Satyapal and Ms. Rita to tell us what is happening in the US. Maybe we can look at the ecosystem being set up, what are the funding mechanisms, what are the technologies, what are the challenges, what are the ecosystems, and what are the opportunities for collaboration between India and the US. So I'll stop now and request you to take over. Thank you.
So first of all, I would like to really thank the organizers, and it is great to be here. How many of you were here last year for this conference? You can raise your hands. Oh, many new people. So it was an honor when MNRE asked us, the US, to be a partner country on this green hydrogen effort. We were really honored, the 2 largest democracies in the world. But I also see many of my other international colleagues here from Europe, from Korea, from Japan, Australia. So I think this was so exciting this morning to see all the progress. And we've been very busy as well in the US since the last time we met, just about a year ago. So what I'd like to do is give really 3 main messages. First is talk about we all know the urgency, the climate crisis. Second is talk about our national goals from the US perspective, all of our activities. And then third is specifically areas of collaboration. And I'll try to go quickly because I know we're a little behind time. But first is really to start with the data. And if you look at the data that we're plotting here, you can see the last 4 decades, the increase in temperature. And if you look at just last year, you see this huge unprecedented increase in temperature. So the main message here, I think, we're all here for the same purpose, is addressing the climate crisis. And if you look at what our challenge is. Again, as a reminder, this is where we are, and this is where we need to be. And I think we've all experienced this firsthand. So I just want to start again with the big picture, why we're all here. It's great to see all these brilliant minds, and we have to solve this challenge of a lifetime. But if you look at just what we've all experienced, again, a global pandemic, you can actually see how the CO2 has gone down. You can see that slope. And so it is possible, I think, that obviously without the negative impacts of the pandemic, but I think, again, that's the big challenge that we face. So now let's go to the US perspective. And you can see energy consumption here. The good news is you see coal has gone down significantly. You see renewables gone up significantly just in the last few decades, but we still rely very heavily on fossil fuels, petroleum, natural gas. So the Biden-Harris administration actually has the boldest climate agenda in our nation's history. And we have net zero by 2050, very ambitious interim goals as well. But it's not just what these goals are, but how do we achieve them? And so I do want to emphasize the energy and environmental justice and benefiting those who've experienced injustice in the past, so especially disadvantaged communities. So this is energy consumption. Now let's look at CO2. And so here, 5 billion tons here. You can see the breakout in the US market here. So industry, buildings, transportation, we rely very heavily on cars. It's a large country, power, and hydrogen is one part of a really comprehensive portfolio. So we need all the tools in the toolbox. We are focusing on obviously renewables, but also nuclear, fossil with CCS, really an all of the above strategy. And hydrogen here, shown as the Swiss Army knife, is one key component. So now going back to the legislation, unprecedented again in our history. So you can see the bipartisan infrastructure law, Inflation Reduction Act, and I do want to emphasize that, and there are many, tax credits and so forth still in process. But I do want to emphasize that we are trying to stay away from the colors. I know we've talked a lot about colors, but it's really about the carbon intensity. So you can see we have various thresholds here. The best would be 0.45 kilograms of CO2 per kilogram of hydrogen on a well-to-gate basis. So not just the production piece, but that's when you can get the $3 per kilogram tax credit. So this is just one example. And then we have many others, and then required establishing a national clean hydrogen strategy, which I'll talk about next. And I should ask, how many of you have actually read the US National Clean Hydrogen Strategy? Raise your hands. Okay, not too many. So I'll give you the 3-minute version. But basically, there are 3 pillars to the strategy. First of all, target strategic high impact uses of hydrogen. So those hard to decarbonize sectors. Second is we have to reduce the cost. And third, focus on regional networks. So the concept of the hubs, clusters, and then many enabling activities, workforce, jobs, safety,